Hey, Daryl from Just Roll Already. Welcome back to the January challenge number 17. And today I am going to talk about the 5 things that I do at my gaming table that are generally kind of my basic rules when it comes to role playing if you are at my table. Now, I have them written down right in front of me, so if I look down, don't worry about it. So, the first one that I often use, which a lot of people I have had gotten flack for in the past, is my rule 1. If the book is not on the table, it is not there for use. And I find that if I don't have the book, or if I'm not willing for the book to be used, it is not on the table. Meaning, I have a stack of books. I usually like hard copies because I'm able to look at them better. It feels nice to have a book on the shelf, and they don't run out of battery. And so, when I run a game, and I have a certain number of information that I think would be appropriate for what I think should be there, so that way I can also keep track of it, is that, or keep it to a minimum, I'll put a stack of books in front of my GM screen. You're free to pick up those books anytime during the game. You can use them, look over them, and plan. But I don't let anything that is not on my table, or if I have written down on, if it's a digital item, written down on a post-it note on my table and or stick it on the back of my GM screen for them to see, you can't use that information. And it may seem like it's kind of a douche thing to do, but the purpose of it is to keep the general issue of weird added things that can get out of hand or that will counteract or contradict or something that I have limited knowledge of to dumb down my games. It streamlines, keeps things simple, and then everyone understands what they have and what they can or can't do. So I usually say that if you say, I want to use this from this book and that book and that book, I say, well, no, maybe. But if that book isn't on the table, you don't use it. Also, I never leave the monster manuals on the table because they'll look through it. And it will add to a bunch of stuff. Number 2, crosstalk will be taken elsewhere if you need to discuss something. And that one's kind of self-explanatory. If I'm going through something and I'm talking to somebody, going through a general scene that requires them, and people are talking, I usually tell them, okay, if you guys need to talk, go over to the other room or something, discuss amongst yourself about what you're doing. I mean, it could be related to the story or not. But in general, it's not meant to be rude, but in one lines of keeping chatter down so that I can actually hear what the other person's saying or they can hear what I am saying. And it's generally a much more cleaner version of it. And if they feel that it's to be discussed with me later, that's fine. Planning against my back, I don't care. But if it is about them trying to discuss something about their characters or something that they thought was funny, I don't discourage people interacting with each other. I discourage being disruptive with the amount of volume in the room. Number 3, keep phone stuff to the minimum and put it on vibrate. Now, I don't want people to turn off their phones, mainly because I don't want them to miss out on if something that happens that's an emergency, or if somebody's trying to contact them, whether it be a spouse, a family member, a friend that has a question or needs help. But I do like to keep people from using their phones constantly and being checked out of the game. I'm not going to be unfair about it, but I will discourage people from using it all the time. If they're on Facebook or they're looking at YouTube videos constantly playing the volume loudly or wearing earbuds, it means that they're not interested, and therefore it doesn't really make me want to feel like I want to play with this person, or they're not having fun, which kind of hurts a little bit and also can be distracting. So that one's kind of self-explanatory. Number 4, clean up your mess and respect the game place. Now, I often game at my own home. I do go to other places on occasion, and I follow this rule when I'm there. And if I bring something like a drink or garbage or something that I spill or a dish I use, I make sure that I clean it up, and I expect people to do the same thing too in my own home. And it is generally a respectful thing to do to begin with because you're in somebody else's place. Or if you're in a game store, they'll have that kind of rule because you're there renting a spot or reserved a spot or given a spot. And if you want to keep on using it, you got to be able to show that you're respectful of the area and it won't be so blah. Because I've had it where people left their trash. I had somebody stuff garbage into my couch cushions and wipe their boogers on the side of my couch and leaving crap everywhere. it was disgusting. And it got to the point that I told the person, clean up your shit. I handed them a whole cleaning kit and I said, you're going to sit here, you're going to clean this entire spot that you just messed up. And they threw a fit and they stormed out the door. And when they tried to come back in, I told them no, because they didn't respect my home and where I played and where I lived. So the whole part about that is that you don't want people destroying what's yours or that you respect or you value. So that's something that one should probably think about when they're coming to a game with me. 5, this is my favorite one. Don't be a prick. Now, that is the longest way I can say it, but for everyone else who needs a little bit more of a context, if you're going to be an asshole and you're going to sit there and bring beef to the table, you're going to start fights with other people, you're going to sit there and make issues with other people, and you're going to sit there and fight me constantly and argue with me 24/7 about how I was wrong or something that they don't agree with, or they're just going to be a general douchebag, then I don't want them at my table, and I often push them out of the group because I don't want them there. I mean, they're free to come back if they're willing to follow the 5 basic rules, number 5 being the number 1 for them. But yeah, feel free to let me know the 5 basic rules that you have at your table. I like to hear that kind of stuff, and I know that YouTube recently discovered that they took off video responses because Lord knows why, and I think that was kind of dumb. But let me know what you guys think. Comment down into the thing. Share, like, comment, subscribe, so on and so forth. I will see you guys tomorrow for day 18.